I want to answer a couple of your questions, but first, the latest about TikTok. ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, had an internal meeting according to the Chinese media. In that meeting, the founder, Zhang Yiming, made it very clear he had no intention to sell TikTok US. In the meantime, the US Senate now is picking up this bill. Seems like it's going to pass, although it will take a while. But by my estimate at this point, it does seem like it's going to pass the Senate. And Biden already said he's going to sign once it's on his desk. So at this point, by all account, it seems like the whole thing is going to end up in court. So we'll be watching a court battle. So that's the latest about TikTok. Okay, somebody asking me about the Falun Gong. I think in one of my previous program, I talked about this. Falun Gong in China is regarded as a cult. Its founder's name is Li Hongzhi. Now, ever since he established the Falun Gong, it has been a very controversial, if you can call it a religion. The biggest problem with the Falun Gong is it doesn't believe in modern medicine. That is the biggest attention it had. It wasn't banned in China in the beginning. In fact, it was very popular. Even many Communist Party members joined the Falun Gong. What it requires is believing in the teaching of Falun Gong, mainly the founder, Li Hongzhi, whatever he says, you need to believe that. But also, you do some physical exercise, very much like a Tai Chi to me, but supposedly it's different from Tai Chi. Now, if you do those two things, supposedly all your illness will be cured. And that's the problem because many of the Falun Gong members, their families believe that they need to go to seek medical help, go to see a doctor, go to the hospital, but they refused. So the family members will actually report them to the police. And they were hoping the police would force their members to go to a hospital or go to see a doctor. But the police really cannot do that. And so there was problems. And that's when the authority was discussing this, informing Falun Gong organization, including Li Hongzhi himself, that he should stop doing this, stop discouraging his members from going to seek medical help. That was the biggest problem. But he refused, and Falun Gong refused to do that, and they keep on having these problems. And in the meantime, they accused the Chinese authorities for suppressing religious freedom, so they were protesting, et cetera, et cetera. And so it come to a point the Chinese government just said that that's enough. Okay, so that's how they got banned. Once it got banned, Li Hongzhi himself moved to the United States. I believe he supposedly lived somewhere outside New York City. But there are also rumors that he died in COVID in the early time of the pandemic, although not confirmed by Falun Gong authority. So it's not clear whether he's still alive. If he is, he probably is very seriously ill because he hasn't been seen in public for a long time. And there's a lot of signs of internal power struggle. My brother has a definition to differentiate a cult from a religion. He says that a religion normally worship a person who's dead a long time ago, or some kind of a saint. Whereas a cult is you worship a person who's still alive, and that person normally is very rich. By this definition, Falun Gong is definitely a cult because Li Hongzhi himself is very wealthy. So that's what I can say about Falun Gong. I personally do not have problem for people who believe in this, but I do think it's a problem if you don't allow your members to go to see medical help, in particular if somebody is seriously ill. I actually know somebody who sister was a Falun Gong member, and she refused to go to see a doctor in the early stage of her cancer. It's definitely a curable cancer, but she stopped seeing doctors. And my friend truly believed Falun Gong killed her sister. That's my problem with Falun Gong. The other thing is Falun Gong is spreading lots of misinformation, rumors, and lies about China. For example, it accused Chinese government prosecuted Falun Gong members in China and then kill them and then harvest their organs. So there's no basis and no evidence whatsoever. But they would show you those very bloody pictures and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's my problem with the Falun Gong. Other than that, people believe whatever they believe. And then the question is why there are so many Chinese people crossing the border illegally. To answer that question, actually, is the numbers can actually tell you something. Now, it used to be that pretty easy for Chinese to get a visa, a temporary visa. In 2016, 2.22 million temporary visa was issued to Chinese nationals. In 2022, there was only 160,000. Now, what it says is that if you want to come to the United States, many of them have to come here illegally because they couldn't get a visa. Why do they want to come to the United States? Well, some of them are simply young and healthy and willing to do those hard labor job, low paying job. Those low end jobs, even though they're low paying jobs, but they're still better than in China. If you look at the absolute terms, like hourly rate, doing the dishes and food delivery, porter jobs and janitors, etc. Those low end jobs are still better paid here in the United States versus in China. So some of them are planning to come here, working a few years and save some money and then go back. Would be enough for them to buy a house or at least to pay the down payment or something. So that's some of them the plan. They don't mind if it's illegal. They believe this they can collect some money in a few years and they go back to China. There are also some middle class who do have some skills, believe they can come here making more money than they are in China. Now that's partially is because there's a big industry, being the immigrant lawyers and the agent and those kind of a middleman. Because their business rely on people who wants to come to this country, so they exaggerate the opportunities here. They would say, "Oh, you have so many skills, experiences, no problem for you to find a job in the U.S. and it's better paid, and and then of course it has freedom and those kind of things." And lots of them, they themselves very busy. They don't know much English, so they don't have the opportunity to do their own due diligence and research and ask around, etc. So they would actually rely on these agents. And once these agents make it so simple and easy, then they would actually do that. So that's some of them actually are middle class. They actually have money, even some of them pretty well off. But what happened in the past is they could come here legally. And once they got here, they noticed it's not as simple. They can go back to China within 3-6 months. Many of them did. But of course, people who did that wouldn't make it a big deal, telling everybody, "Oh, US is not as good as you think," because they will make themselves look like failure, right? The people who show a lot of their pictures on the social media, "Oh, here's a nice house with a pool," are those people who are managed to do find jobs and quickly adapt, and there are those people too. So they would show off on the social media. So some of them get the wrong impression that making money in the US is very easy. Those people who quickly adapt here, they normally already have somebody here. And many of them already have some money prepared and came here and buy a house quickly, stuff like that. So everybody has their own special cases, right? But lots of people don't know the background, the backstory. They just assume the life is easy. To come to the United States, you can quickly, for the same kind of a job, you can get a better pay, and houses here are cheaper, etc. Partially it's because this industry, this middleman, these agencies, immigration agencies, they lie to their client and at least exaggerate it. Like I said, in the past, it wasn't a problem if you come here legally, and when you notice that's not the case, you can go back, and most of them did, and they go back quietly. Once the visa is not that easy, these agencies, immigration lawyers, they still want to make their business, so they would do the illegal thing. They will help you. What they do is they will tell their client, "Oh, it's simple. You just fly to Mexico, which doesn't require a visa for Chinese. And from there, from the airport, they would have bus take you to the border. And then they would tell you crossing the border, then you'll be arrested on the other side. And then once you arrested, you can start applying to be a refugee of some kind. And then you can quickly get a green card." That's what they're normally telling their client. And many people believe that. They thought it's that, "Oh, that's simple enough, right?" And some of them did get their green card that way. Yeah. Getting a green card is one thing, of course, and finding a good job and making a good living is different. Of course, those lawyers, immigration lawyers, and the immigration agency, they don't tell you that. Plus, many people eventually do not get a green card. In fact, I believe last year there were about 35,000 people the US government want to send them back to China, and the Chinese government refused to take them. Because these are the people obviously do not have deep feelings towards China. Plus, China also made it very clear before Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan that they're going to retaliate. One of the things the Chinese government retaliate with this is not cooperate with the U.S. immigration. Yeah, so they're just saying that's your problem, not mine. We're not taking them back. Yeah, so some of them do kind of like in the middle, being stuck there. I don't know what's going to happen to them once they're rejected and not getting a green card, and then the Chinese government refused to take them back. I don't know what will happen to them. I guess that the U.S. government probably still negotiating with the Chinese government. Either they eventually give them the green card, these people, or somehow convince the Chinese government to take them back. That's my guess, but it's probably still ongoing. It wasn't an issue earlier, like I said, when you can get a visa, a temporary visa to come to the United States. It became an issue once the number of issued visa became very limited. That's when this illegal crossing happened. And it's due large part for those agencies and people who are lying to. Fundamentally, China develops so fast that lots of people don't even know. The gap, the living standard gap between China and the West has strengthened a lot. Yeah. Lots of people in China are still not well informed, even though there's 700-800 million people are regular internet users. But that means that there's still 600-700 million people are not regular internet users. And so they're not well informed and they don't know that China is developing so fast, the living standard increase at such a speed that the difference is not that big in some cases. There's still some differences, even for high-end jobs, the payment, the salaries is higher in the United States. Of course, the tax is also higher here and the living cost is higher. But all in all, some people still believe you can make better money in the US. Yeah. And for that, they're willing to come to the United States to give it a try. But because there's limited visas being issued, so they're willing to take the risk to cross the border illegally. That's the reason. South Korea also has a very high living standard, and there's still plenty of the South Koreans moving to the United States every year. But they don't have the visa problem, so they come here legally and then find ways to stay here. Some of them actually illegally too, staying here. They overstay their visa too. In South Korea, there are those cases as well. Yeah, so this is not a uniquely Chinese problem. The difference is getting the visa is harder now for China because of the bad relationship between the two countries. Yeah. That's all I have for now. If you like my program, please hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you.